Alright guys, in today's video, when servicing the rear brakes on this 2009 Chevrolet Cobalt, we noticed for the owner that there was a problem back in the rear suspension area, and we're going to go about repairing that today. If you can take a look at the springs, he's got rear springs on this type of vehicle suspension combined with a separate shock absorber. It does not use struts. And on the top of this, there's supposed to be a Jounce bumper, but we can see that the Jounce bumper is actually broken off and laying inside the spring assembly. It's supposed to be sitting right there, and it has broken off. The one on the passenger side is also broken off. It's just a common maintenance item. It gets old and cracked, and eventually when it does take a hit, it breaks. The purpose of this is part of insulating you from sharp compressions like hitting a curb or hitting a speed bump or a pothole most commonly. We're also going to check and make sure that the spring is not broken. But this is pretty easy to do. I'll show you how to swap these out, and I'll show you the part number for this piece. Alright guys, you don't want to jack it up. You just want to get the jack underneath it to support it. Right there is fine. We don't need anything more than that. We just want to have it hold it. Now we've already got the vehicle. If we come up above the brake drum here, we already have the vehicle sitting on a stand. That's how we got the wheel off. So that's all you need. Jack, stand it up where you can get the wheel off. Then put the jack underneath this to support it. Now we can go remove the bolt, the lower bolt rather, that's holding the shock absorber on, and that is a 21 millimeter. So I'll reposition you guys so you can see what I'm doing. Alright guys, 21 millimeter, and we're going to take it off with break the torque with a breaker bar. Try to anyway. There we go. Now, it's possible for it to be corroded on to where you'll have to use an impact wrench or maybe even some heat, but that was not the case here. Alright, now we can switch to a ratchet. And again, just make sure that your jack is in position. Alright, take that bolt off. Now with that out of the way, we can lower this a little bit. With that shock out of there, right, we can push this down. However far we need to get this out of here. I think I'm going to do is grab a little piece of wood so I can have a lever, because I need one hand to pull the spring out while I have the other hand hold this down. Alright, 2x4 is what I'm going to use. Grab it on this side here, get it underneath the axle cross member that you see right there. That gets it down to where we can get this out. Yeah, I'm going to have to take the whole thing out because he's really wedged on there, what's left of him. Yeah, that sucks. All right. Alright, so we just got to get something to hammer this guy out. He's just stuck in the spring, but while we have it out, we can tell that we're fine on our spring. There's no cracks. So it's just this guy that needs to be swapped out. Let me get something so we can knock out the old one. I'll show you the new one installing it. Alright, we're going to hit this with some silicone spray. We don't want to use anything oil-based because we don't know if that'll cause some problems. Let's see if we can pry it out with this. not, we'll have to give it some more persuasion. It's really not much holding it on there. These little ridges. There we go. All right. Just clean the surface here that touches it, and here's the new assembly. It's a GM 1935 2221 rear Jounce bumper assembly. All right, so there's the bumper, there's the piece. Looks like they've added a piece of metal or something on here to improve that, or no, that's on there. Just a little bit different color, and then a foam insulator to cut down on the noise. Just going to take a rubber mallet. Give it a little bit of lubrication that won't damage that plastic. There we go. That's it. She's seated. Now we just got to get her put back together. It's a good time to get all the crud out of this lower cup that the spring sits in. All right, guys, when you go to put this back in, the service manual mentions that you should always have the tag on the spring facing the rear. Obviously, the tag on this is long gone, so we just want to take note of how we took it off. Our best clue here was where we rubbed it off with the wood, trying to get it out in the first place, so I'm going to put it back in that orientation. That guidance probably has to do with just the orientation of the bottom of the coil. But anyway, we're going to aim our wood-worn parts of the coil over in this direction. Get our wood back in position here. Get situated so we can push this down enough to get it into this piece here. So this male piece has to fit into this female piece of the part we just installed. And that's it, guys. Now we're going to put the jack back underneath, jack it up, and then we'll reinstall the bolt to the shock absorber. We'll close this gap so that we get it perfectly sealed. And then we'll come over here. We can move the shock to where we need to. And then we'll drive this back in with the ratchet wrench. And then we'll come back and torque it. All right, guys, referencing the manual, 2009 GM A car, which covers the Cobalt and the Pontiac G5. Going back into the rear suspension section, spring bumper replacement. Just kind of going over what we just did here to get this swapped out, right? They're showing you that here. They're suggesting that you can just leave this into the lower seat on the axle and change it, but as we found out, ours is on there wedged in pretty good, so you might have to remove it like I did to get enough leverage to swap it out. And when we go to reinstall it, put the bumper on the spring, raise the axle in order to seat the rear spring, which we did, and we're going to need to reference the shock absorber section because that was one of the things they had us remove in order to get the torque on the shock. Here we go here on the shock absorber installation, replacement. Coming down here, there's an upper and a lower bolt. We're only interested in the lower bolt, and that lower bolt is 81 foot-pounds, so we're going to tighten that guy up to 81 foot-pounds. All right, 81 foot-pounds, guys, and this is done. There we go. Job's complete. I hope this helps you out in getting your rear coil Jounce bumper replaced. We're going to go ahead and do the one on the passenger side as well, but it's the exact same procedure, mirror image, so I'm not going to show that. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below. I'll try to help. If you found this video useful, saved you some money, helped you get this repair done yourself, go ahead and pay it forward and hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching.